The battle against automakers is more than a strike. It's class warfare, and this is written by William Lehman, and he is a former candidate for UAW president. He's a UAW rank and file still auto worker, and he ran for president last year. Came close, but he's very radical. And let's read this article. Let's dive right into it. On Friday, President Biden spoke from the White House about the auto worker strike, calling for the car corporation and the United Auto Workers to reach a win-win agreement for workers. That's not possible. Record profits have not been shared fairly, in my view, with those workers, Biden said. Workers deserve a fair share of the benefits they help create for an enterprise. Now, end quote. Now, you see how vague this is? This is intentionally vague so they can co-opt like he's a labor president. Because in no way does what he's saying equals to what the workers want. Because record profits have not been shared fairly. What if just increasing it, giving them a 15% raise is fairly to Biden? You get what I'm saying? So don't assume, and make sure you tell your friends and family that this guy is not the first or the best labor president. That is a fucking joke. You can't break a strike and be called that. Biden's remarks raise fundamental questions about the distribution of wealth in the United States, much more than a contract dispute. Workers' wages at Ford, General Motors, and Stellantis have declined dramatically over the past 50 years. In 1973, auto workers received an average hourly wage of $5.54 an hour, more than $38 an hour in today's dollars. Did you hear that? 1973, workers were being paid $5.54. That is the equivalent of $38 an hour in today's dollars. How is that not class warfare? That the equivalent would be $38. Is that it today? It's not. I think some of the lower end temp people are getting paid $15, $16 an hour because they hire in as a temp and have you work as a temp for several years. I've been through that, and you always have them temp on their in hopes of I'm gonna be an official worker eventually. So I'll just stay here and keep my head down and live with this exploitation in hopes of a better future. And they know that's what workers are doing when they keep these low paying jobs. I digress. Let's continue. If that wage had merely kept up with inflation, setting aside the massive increase in production over that time, auto workers would be making nearly $40 an hour. William goes on in an article to say, but today's temporary workers at GM start at $16.67 and top out at $20. You see how they're saving money? Now think about that. Today's wages would be $38. Look where the temp caps out at $28. That's $18 stolen labor value just right there. That's not even counting even the means of production. I'm just saying based off of inflation and just wages going up, $18 difference, just about twice the amount. And let's continue. But today, temporary workers at GM start at $16.67 and top out at $20, half as much as workers 5 decades ago. Should temps be lucky enough to be given full-time status, their top pay is capped at just over $32. So even still, let's say that's the top. So even when you get to the top where you think, oh, I'm making a lot of money, it's still $6 less than what the same position was making in 1973, over almost 50 years ago. Another comparison. GM CEO Mary Barra received a $28.9 million compensation package in 2022. She made approximately $2.4 million a month, $550,000 a week, $110,000 a day, or an hourly rate of $13,800. Do you see that? $13,800. That is absurd. But when they want, $45 an hour, you want to scream that the world's about to collapse. The difference between the two, however, is that every penny at borrower's pay package is ultimately derived from the value produced by the labor of the working class. Spot on. She tried to say in an interview, oh, that's based on my production. You aren't doing the work, though. The people who work under you are doing the work. So your production is based off of your workers. I mean, this is literally easy to do. I mean, I don't think at all she doesn't know that. She's pretending not to mention that. But how can Biden's fair share be distributed between a corporate executive making $13,894 an hour and a temp making $20 an hour? Where is the fair share mark in there? The conventional argument made by champions of the free market system is that that executives are paid by their performance, by which is meant their ability to deliver for Wall Street. They make millions because the shareholders receive billions. And how much profit have the companies made? In 2022, GM, Ford, and Stellantis made a combined $77 billion in gross profits. If that $77 billion were distributed among all 150,000 big three auto workers in the U.S., each worker would receive a bonus of roughly $500,000. And this is what it looks like to seize the means of production. This is stolen labor value. 150 workers should be taking home $500,000 if the workers own the companies. That is a stark realization to see that number, $500,000 based on the money they made. Of course, GM, Stellantis, and Ford employed many thousands of more workers around the world, and their labor is also exploited to produce the billions which accrue to the shareholders. There are also the vast supply chains workers throughout the auto part plants who are integral to the productive process. The president claims a win-win contract that workers and the corporate owners can be reached, but Biden, the veterans capitalist politician, knows that's impossible. What the president is trying to cover up is that workers and the corporate oligarchies have a fundamental, irreconcilable class interests. This is why I say I think this guy is a Marxist. There is no fair share in a setup in which investors get billions, executives get millions, and workers get pennies. There is an approaching day of reckoning with social realities that have long been concealed and covered up. Workers are increasingly aware of the vastly unequal society in which they live and are looking for a way to change it. That's why when I ran as a socialist in the UAW 22 elections, I received 5,000 votes from auto workers, despite efforts by the union apparatus to suppress the vote, resulting in a turnout of just 9%. UAW President Shawn Fain has taken to denouncing corporate greed and billionaire class. In reality, Fain and the union bureaucracy he oversees serves an essential function on behalf of corporation. They block or limit strike, as they are currently doing, isolating a walkout at the big three to just 3 plants, and enforce the demand of management, imposing one sellout concessionary contract after the other for the past 45 years. For these services, the bureaucracies receive their own payout, including 6-figure salaries that put them in the top 5% of income earners and affluent upper middle class. And I'm going to stop there for the sake of time. I'm going to be ending here, but this is a great article. If you are a Marxist, if you're into this type of stuff, you're into theory, this will be a great read. Check it out. It's on Newsweek or it's on World Socialist website. They kind of just published it